Tomorrow, 115 cardinals will begin the sanctified and secret process of electing the next pope. Pope Francis seems to have embraced an unknown figure who could reshape the future of the Catholic Church. His close association with Cardinal Luis Tagle has often sparked interest and, at times, controversy. I welcome you to our country, to the city of Manila, and to the Cathedral Basilica of the Immaculate Conception, and now the Pope has finally made the decision to expose Cardinal Luis Tagle. Why has Pope Francis chosen to disclose this at this time? How will this alter the Church's power on the international stage? Join us as we deeply dive into how Pope Francis told the public the truth about Cardinal Luis Tagle. The relationship between Pope Francis and Cardinal Luis Tagle involves complex loyalty rooted firmly in shared ideologies, mutual admiration, and a pursuit of an innovative cause for the Catholic Church. Cardinal Tagle inspires the same values as the Pope. He is simple, hospitable, and acutely sensitive to the people's needs. Since the beginning of his papacy, Francis has envisioned the Church for the poor, and what Tagle did in Manila before becoming a cardinal embodied the message that he wanted to bring to the lowly and was able to touch the simple folks. The Pope, heavily influenced by Tagle, firmly believes in the power of the clergyman, not only in delivering motivational speeches. Their relationship is a common vision towards the possibility of coming up with a church that will still be relevant in times of adversity. The partnership between both characters rose to operational heights when Tagle was named prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples in 2019. Pope Francis appointed Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as the new head of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. This position is referred to as the Red Pope, and comes with a lot of power, including authority over missionary activity across continents. When assigning Tagle to this important position, Pope Francis hinted at entrusting him with the further development of Catholic evangelization, especially in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, as these continents will form the future of the Catholic Church. Their relationship is not only work-related. What Tagle reveres certainly has an element that Francis has advocated. Both leaders have pointed to the values of compassion rather than doctrine, conversation instead of polarization, and doing instead of talking. Their common experience in dealing with hostile reactions from traditionalist factions has made both firm in their vision of a church of love. Thus, humility and humanity inherent in Tagle's leadership style are not different from the ideas of Pope Francis. For example, during Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, the quick response of Tagle, alongside his compassion during calamities, gave him the impression of being a leader of the Church of Mercy, as Francis had recommended. Besides his charity activities, Tagle's competence in theology, especially his inclusive evangelization, has made him a role model for liberal Catholics worldwide. As Pope Francis has made it clear several times, the leadership within the Church cannot remain clerical-led but must be a sign of outreach to the forgotten and forsaken of the world. Pope Francis has recently made some comments that have again. The recent comments raised the question regarding the position of Tagle in the structure of the Vatican. Although the Pope has not directly stated his vision for the cardinal in the long term, the work they both are doing seems pre-planned. Is Tagle's path within the Church evidence of a potential shift toward change, from Manila to the world stage? Cardinal Luis Tagle, who rose from the streets of Manila to the hallways of the Vatican, is an inspiring subject who has lived purposefully. Tagle was born in 1957 in the Philippines, and the course of his life shows that he was fully grounded in his community and dedicated to the poor. Blessed with extraordinary intellect and soul from childhood, he decided to study theology and become one of the leading figures in the Catholic Church. Tagle entered a leadership journey properly when he became the Archbishop of Manila in 2011. Overseas Filipino workers praised the appointment of Manila Archbishop Luis Antonio Tagle as cardinal, and a priest added that Tagle's new role would be a challenge, assuming leadership of one of the largest Catholic dioceses globally. Tagle quickly assumed the role of a reformist. He did not succumb to the materialism and greed typical of the rulers of the past. Instead, he tried to return care for the Church and people, missionary work, and a passion for the actualization of justice. His sermons were touching and heartwarming, resonating with the life experiences of millions, which made him incredibly popular, and people started calling him Asia's Francis. His ascendance to international fame occurred through several promotions that revealed his increasing power within the Vatican. While serving as the president of Caritas Internationalis, a Catholic charity organization of 165 countries, Tagle supported campaigns against poverty, hunger, and climate change. Due to his perceived skills in allowing communication between different cultures and ideologies within the Church, he was selected to act as a leader in the evangelization efforts. Indeed, his appointment as prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples in 2019 was quite a turning point. The position placed him in the middle of the Church's evangelism mandate to spread the gospel to the entire world. Tagle greatly appreciated cultural differences and eventually took an active part in reorganizing the Church's tactics of evangelization in non-Western countries, including in Asia and Africa. But what does such popularity mean? The answer lies in his skills to work in the context of mobilization. These diplomatic moves, coupled with a sound theological mind, have placed Tagle as a leader with the capacity to deal with the complexity facing the Church. As Tagle's influence at the Vatican grows, so too does speculation about his position. Could he become even more involved or possibly even be a candidate for the next pope? And if so, what does a church under Tagle's leadership look like? A church for the margins. In this new face of the Catholic Church under Pope Francis's leadership, the Church has shifted its gaze toward those at the margins, often referred to as a church for the poor. This vision has benefited from having Cardinal Luis Tagle by its side. Together, they are called to advocate for justice, kindness, and compassion in society. Their ability to significantly alter the social relations of the Church can be demonstrated by Pope Francis's focus on the margins. He believes that the Church occupies the periphery as the sanctuary of the outcasts. As the president of Caritas Internationalis, he has overseen anti-hunger campaigns, provided shelter to refugees, and confronted the challenges of climate change. That, coupled with his capacity to negotiate for resources and coax individuals into action, has established him as a key player in the Church's charity portfolios. Listening is one of the most important practices that President Tagle often underlines during his work. If you listen, you dispose yourself to love, and those who love will not get tired of listening. Contrary to more conventional models of vertical power dynamics, Tagle values conversation and actively seeks to listen to especially the voices on the peripheries. Nevertheless, the concentration on the margins is not without problems. Some Church critics have pointed out that when its message is presented to society in such a manner, it is likely that the social causes will triumph over the Church's doctrine. Doctrines. Critics of the Church have accused Pope Francis and his supporters of derailing traditional Catholic values by focusing so much on political correctness. Nevertheless, Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle have stood their ground because they know that if the Church does not address these and many other current issues, it will become irrelevant. In addition to humanitarian activities, Tagle is in a position to help spread the Pope's vision forward. His efforts to advance interfaith relations make clear that the Church is determined to foster positive relations in an increasingly divided world. Discussing religious concerns with people of other faiths can promote tolerance and unity, which is why Tagle reflects Pope Francis's main message. Through the visions of Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle, attempts are made to bring the Church into more direct contact with people, and in a certain way, modern Catholicism is being built before our eyes. Could this focus on the margins assign a new understanding of the Church's mission in the context of rapid change? A silent tug-of-war behind the pious faces and the appearance of togetherness, a power struggle, has always nurtured the Roman Catholic Church's authority. In the context of the Vatican, a place at the crossroads of tradition and postmodern culture, such struggles are expressed in terms of ideologies. The daily battles between reformists like Pope Francis, Cardinal Tagle, and the conservatives provide a fascinating drama of unspoken struggles. Pope Francis has brought further reformative change in his papacy by rebuking clericalism, calling for a more decentralized church, and speaking out on sensitive matters like migration, climate change, and economic transparency. Moving on, issuing a stark warning, the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican City-State has said that the earth will become uninhabitable if there is no concrete action taken on climate change. Nevertheless, these efforts have met with formidable challenges. Some of the ultra-conservative parties and groups within the Church of Rome have been complaining loudly about this shift, calling it a radical departure from the Word of God, the Bible. Cardinal Tagle's active role in the Vatican signifies this particular aspect of the power struggle. While he fits into Pope Francis's vision of the Church as merciful and focused on the peripheries, Tagle's ascent has not met everyone's approval. Unfortunately, his sensible management style and orientation on dialogue and participation contradict traditional values held by some factions of the Church. More conventional views regarding Catholic theology have raised expectations and questions about the potential hurdles the head of the Church might encounter. Financial supervision has been one of the most significant areas involved in this power struggle. Cleaning up the Vatican's financial institutions has been initiated by Pope Francis, and it has raised a lot of controversy. Being part of the management that handles charitable activities, Tagle will support the reform initiatives, given that he has been pushing for more and better disclosure. However, this has also put him against some people with interests to protect, namely the entrenched power groups. Succession adds a more complex layer to these dynamics. Although Pope Francis has not hinted at his successor, the increasing visibility of Tagle among other figures gives cause for consideration about what kind of future the Church will be leaning towards. The Conservatives might want to retain or promote candidates they believe would not perpetuate the framework's reform, as Pope Francis did. The behind-the-scenes power struggle captures the confrontation that defines who must lead the future of the Church. These power struggles are not exclusive to the Vatican, they extend to dioceses in every country, affecting how leaders in the dioceses handle matters in the world. Many traditionalist elements were still operative, but the reform showed the increased division between unity and traditional Catholicism, which became the hallmark of this age in the Catholic Church. How are these dynamics likely to impact the Church in its quest to overcome the tasks of the 21st century, and what part do leaders such as Cardinal Tagle have to offer in these transitions? A visionary amid turmoil, Cardinal Luis Tagle's journey in the Catholic Church is not over yet. This young cardinal has made a unique impact in Catholicism, particularly on the side of the poor and marginalized, a defender of human rights, respecting immigrants, and a champion of the oppressed in his country. Tagle is seen as a hope for progressive Catholics worldwide. However, he is exercising this power while overstretching the institution with deep-seated internal and external struggles. Today, engaging with people is one of Tagle's strengths, making him friendly with people from all walks of life. Whether preaching to a gathering of followers in Manila or as a papal representative, Tagle is humble and easily connects with followers. Most people have been missing the shepherd's leadership style that he often preached, instead of the rigid institutionalist approach that dominates the Church. By celebrating an open and moving religion, Tagle has portrayed himself as a revolutionary in the new Catholic Church. However, this legacy is being built in the face of considerable volatility. While the Church's priests and other representatives continue to decrease in number and influence in Europe and North America, the number of the faithful in Asia and Africa is steadily rising. This demographic shift is both a strength and a weakness, as it empowers but also complicates the task of serving such a vast and heterogeneous congregation. Tagle, of course, has cultural sensitivity and being a The Westerner himself is well known within non-Western cultures and can thus be said to be well placed to undertake this. Another characteristic feature in the process guide attributed to Tagle is the combination of tradition and the trend of recent decades. The roles he has embraced include interfaith dialogue and climate change. It is good that, in the conference in Paris on climate change, the principles of fairness and equity would surface and play a great role. Social justice and issues have shown a man ready to work with modernity, but this has also met some criticisms. Conservatives in the Church have accused him of straying from doctrinal matters, a sign of the conflicts that characterize this period of Catholic authority. How Tagle will have been able to meet these competing demands will define his legacy in the future. With the development still occurring within the Catholic Church, the issue of leadership rears its head. It means the good work that has begun under Pope Francis needs to be sustained by other leaders who will serve the organization in the future. Tagle's influence within the Vatican and loyalty to Francis makes him possibly the one to influence the future of the Catholic Church. But will his vision have an audience in such a vast and usually polarized flock of Roman Catholics worldwide? Much has been said about Cardinal Tagle's footprints, which, however, are still under construction. For him, the challenges are quite profound because he leads within an institution that has conventions, requirements, and an environment changing at the same time as the world, yet has to maintain orderliness. His ability to create hope and become a driving force to unite people will define him. Can his stewardship herald the new Catholic Church, one of healing, welcome, and revival? Tagle's prominent rival for the papal throne, out of the various names that have been assumed to be in the line for succession to Pope Francis, is Cardinal Pietro Parolin, who is seen as a strong contender to Cardinal Luis Tagle. Parolin serves as the Vatican Secretary of State, a top-posted official who oversees the diplomacy and organization of the Vatican. Apart from being a cardinal, he has had wide exposure, placing him as a frontliner to the papal chair. Unlike Tagle, who has more of a pastoral bent of mind and is a reformist, Parolin gained prominent experience in diplomacy and was best known for his conservative views. He is from Italy, implying that he is from the Catholic Church's fundamental core. Facing problems of modern societal changes, he has gained respect among the traditionalists because of his work as Secretary of State and his ability to shape the Church through its complex geopolitical relations and retain influence worldwide. While Tagle is believed to be closer to the peripheries, Parolin is viewed as a mastermind who knows how to deal with the church hierarchy. He has been arranging and mediating various cliques in the church from the time he came into power. Being a bridge builder, he has tried his best to address not only the issues of one side but also of the other side, especially taking the middle-of-the-road approach in issues of controversy. This ability to work the internal politics has endeared him to those who prefer gradual changes to drastic ones. However, opponents claim that his ideas are not creative enough to meet the challenges the Church faces today in the era of global transformations. This conflict between Tagle and Parolin can be considered a reflection of the contradictions in the modern Church. While Tagle underlines the postmodern vectors of leadership, forward-looking inclusion, compassionate action, and people-centered orientation, Parolin reflects the traditional and diplomatic sensibilities typical for the Vatican administration. For many people, these discrepancies are permissive of fundamental questions regarding the direction of the Church in the future and what kind of leader is most desirable for it. At the moment, Parolin's high profile also indicates the continued dominance of Italian clergy within the Vatican bureaucracy. The papacy has always been headed by Europeans, mostly Italians. This has been the case for centuries. This can be seen in the fact that, while the election of Pope Francis has been nonconformist to this tradition, Parolin's candidacy seemingly points to a reversal of this trend. This condition throws another twist into the whole issue of succession, which underlines the continuity of tradition versus the new age within the Church. Though they are from different institutions, both Tagle and Parolin are passionate about the Church's work. Nonetheless, work has pointed out how their different methods depict the odds of selecting the next pope. Which way will the Church choose, more contact with common people and their initiatives or a continuation of the established clerical hierarchy? The answer to this question will determine the Catholic Church's future for the next few decades. Since the speculation about Pope Francis's successor has been making rounds in the media, the competition that exists between Tagle and Parolin offers an insight into the struggles the churches are going through. As how this contest plays out, the leadership of the Church will not only define its future but also its capacity to steer through a world that is constantly becoming more polarized and complex. What do you think of Cardinal Tagle as the new pope, and also, who do you think is most likely to get on the papal throne? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.